Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Planet Earth. Mr. H here with you. How you doing, man? Had fun this week? It was a great week. And now we're going to end it the best way possible. We're going to talk about history, dinosaurs, and football. So let's enjoy the weekend because Monday will come around soon enough. But don't you worry about Monday because we can take Monday on and beat it like we always do. So what was I thinking about the other day? I was sitting there staring up at the sky and I thought about the Ottoman Empire. Look at this. Here's a picture of the Ottoman Empire in 1683. Look at the size of this thing. It's pretty big. Already see a problem now? Yeah, I see a problem. I see two problems. One, it's too big. Very hard to control everything. Communication, especially in 1683, a bit of a nightmare. No internet. What else you notice? Naval problem. Yeah, look how many seas they have to patrol. You got the Mediterranean Sea over here. You got the Black Sea. They're doing a pretty good job of turning it into their own little amusement park over there. The Red Sea, the Persian Gulf. You got to get through two choke points before you make it out to the Indian Ocean. There's no chance of making it out to the Atlantic. So as you guessed, Ottoman Empire is kind of a land power. Now, Ottomans took Constantinople back in 1453, as you are well aware. I think I've mentioned that a few times. Back then, it was referred to as the Golden Apple. After that goal was taken, the next one was Vienna. They call that the Red Apple. So Turks originally from the desert are going to like, succulent fruit. And I'll be honest with you, I like apples too. So the Ottomans are doing a great job here. I mean, look at that. They got most of the Middle East there, the North African coast, everything south of the Danube River belongs to them. They got what looks like a Romania and Hungary, and like I said before, they're marching their way around the Black Sea. So this is a formidable empire. So they want to go for Vienna. This is the next big prize. So in 1529, we're going to Vienna. We got Ferd the Foist versus Suleiman the Magnificent. Sounds like some kind of professional wrestling here. Who would win this battle, you think? Well, once he takes off the turban, I think Suleiman seems pretty strong. I think he knows what he's doing. I'm looking over at Ferd. He could be a skinny, scrappy little guy. You don't want to underestimate anybody in this particular era. Everyone's pretty tough. You have to be to live past 40. Ferdinand I is the Holy Roman Emperor, King of Austria. So he's got some help from all the German states. Spain shows up, a lot of people because this is the big crusade of this era. Suleiman is the greatest of all the Turkish sultans, sultan, leader. And this is a battle between superpowers, almost like a, shall I say it, Super Bowl for 1529. Now, an unusual feature of the Ottoman Empire is the Sultan usually doesn't march out to lead his soldiers into battle. Suleiman, had a tendency to do that, but not on this particular occasion. A lot of times they send their right-hand man, the vizier, right? And Pargali Ibrahim Pasha. Pasha is the title everybody has. Pasha, that is your title if you're the vizier. He's the right-hand man, second guy in charge. He's the one who leads out the empire. So the Sultan is very confident in this guy, and he should be. He had a pretty good record. So they march up to Vienna, and they get caught in the rain. There's pretty bad weather, but he makes his way through. The Balkans are not an easy place to walk through, even when you're not fighting through, right? So he takes a shot at Vienna, and if it hadn't rained so much, it might have got their cannons on the mountainsides around Vienna and shot over the walls, but they couldn't get up there because of the rain. But they still get to the wall. And you can tell by this picture, they came pretty close, man. I mean, it got to the point where Austrians and even some Spaniards and other Germans, look at that. They're taking rocks off the wall and flinging them down at the Turks. Okay, that's how close the Turks came. They came close to storming it, couldn't quite do it. But they took a swing at it, came up a little bit short. However, their army is intact, no loss of prestige, right? They took on the other big guy, came up a little bit short. And they didn't lose any territory, so basically it's, took a swing and missed. All right, no big deal. Doesn't keep Pasha from getting strangled when he gets back to Istanbul, but, no participation trophies in the Ottoman Empire. Didn't get that way because people did things halfway. But don't worry, the Turks are going to be back, and the people in Vienna are pretty sure that one day they're going to be back. Don't know when, but they will be back. The 1683 Dream Team, Kara Mustafa Pasha and Mehmed IV. These guys get a bad rap because of uh, the chaos that the attack on Vienna degenerated into. Same setup. Pasha goes out to do the battling, and Mehmed stays back in Istanbul. We used to make jokes about Mehmed being meh, right? But like I said, these guys actually knew what they were doing. Had a really good record. A lot of fighting against the Russians. Took over Crimea, fighting up there in Ukraine. So, like I said, this is a formidable team. They just get bad rap because everything just went to crap around Vienna. I don't know really what happened. Same problems in 1529. You got to go through the Balkans. It's raining. I got bad weather. Had landslides. Some you didn't hear in the 1529 records. So people getting buried alive. So they got to dig their way through it or climb over it. So they get to Vienna, or rather Kara Mustafa Pasha gets to Vienna a little bit late. They still launch their attack and they still get to the wall. I mean, despite of everything that happened, they got to the wall. Despite the fact the army showed up in dribs and drabs and looked like it was falling apart, they still got there. They still fought very, very hard. Could not quite get over the wall. And then, just like Lord of the Rings, they get struck from the side. Yep, John III, Sobieski, King of Poland, like the ride out of Rohem all over again. Come galloping over at the last second to smash into the Turks from the side and drive them back. Those are called Turkish hussars, right? They're supposed to look like avenging angels. That's what the feather thing they're wearing on their back. I mean, it looks intimidating, I guess. I wonder if it messes up the profile of your cavalry here, speed-wise. If you didn't spend time making that, you might have got there a little bit earlier, just pointing something out, a little constructive criticism there, King John III. But nonetheless, he shows up in time, saves the day, saves Christendom, drives the Turks back. And, of course, they repay Poland a century later when Prussia and Austria carve it up. No one ever appreciates anything. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Empire, led by, our Pasha over there, completely falls apart. It disintegrates. They lose control of Hungary, which they had for a century and a half. So what do you think's waiting for Mustafa when he gets back there? Yep, he gets strangled too with a bowstring. Again, there's no rewards for second place, especially not in the Ottoman Empire. But nonetheless, Austria is saved. Christendom is saved. Until they start fighting with each other. You know how that goes, right? It's just the way it is. Now, here's something interesting. Do you know when the Turks decided to leave Vienna, they called off the attack after getting hit by the Polish army and the entire army collapsed? It was on September the 11th, 1683. A lot of people consider that a huge turning point in history because that was the furthest the Turks ever got into Europe. Right? They didn't get any further. That was it. They turned around. The Ottoman Empire is never going to be the same again. And of course, we know what happened on 9/11, September the 11th, 2001, by terrorists claiming to represent Islam. You think they picked that day for a reason? Yeah, crazies do operate around anniversaries. Now if I know that, you know that, where's the FBI and CIA on this? Right? What am I paying taxes for? Yes, I'm upset with every level of government. They still don't pick up the trash on time. I have no idea what goes on in the state capitol half the time, running a deficit, and of course the federal government's at a $34 million deficit. Where is the money going? Why do you need my tax money? Can I have it? Keep it? I'll spend it on something useful. Anyway, so I'm going to go outside and scream about yelling at the government some more. But when I walked outside, guess what I saw? Whoa, I saw this. Actually, I did not see this. This was a picture I picked up off the internet someplace. Yeah, that's Stytacosaurus. You can tell because it's got, supposed to have 3 horns each side of the frill. It's got the big nasal horn. Took a little artistic license there and added a couple horns and some knobs on its head, but it's definitely Stytacosaurus. Good-sized beast, this guy. There he is, approximately 20 feet long, 2, maybe 3 tons. You saw the horns over here. There's some debate about the back. Some people say there's some spines, kind of like a porcupine. It's an extra layer of defense in case some kind of theropod predator gets behind it. I don't see that really stopping something with big jaws. And there's also debate over the feet. Some people say you have actual, toes with small claws. Other people say the feet are elephantine, kind of round. We do know from the fossils it lived next to rivers, kind of marshy areas, and inland, 10, 15 miles maybe as far as they would go. So it's not like it's galloping across the prairies of Saskatchewan or anything. Um, so those kind of feet sinking in the mud, probably easier to pull out than the other ones, I would imagine, looking like elephant feet. You can sink in the mud and pull back out again. I don't know. The debate rages. Somewhere, someplace, someone is screaming about this. Hopefully it's not you. So, Stytacosaurus was found in Alberta, Canada in 1913. They actually found the bones in 1906, the bone bed, they call it. It took a while to put everything together, and it came up with Stytacosaurus. Talking to a Canadian guy about this a couple of years ago, he kept calling it Stegosaurus. No, it's Stytacosaurus. He says, "Are you sure about that?" "Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Hooked on phonics. I'm sure they have it in Canada too." Then again, they haven't won a Stanley Cup in Canada for a long time. Yeah, that's what I think he was really upset about. Then do you know they actually forgot where the bone bed was until 2006? Yeah, I don't know. They never went back. Maybe budget cuts. Maybe the guy moved to British Columbia. I don't know. Any kind of things. Maybe became a biker in Oakland. I don't know. Any kind of thing can happen there. Human history is full of all kinds of crazy stuff like that. But they went back there in 2006, found some bones, and confirmed what we already knew, that they traveled in herds. We find bone beds, several individuals together caught in a flash flood or something. Sometimes we find fossils of Styracosaurus and footprints going around it, which, by the way, look like they have toes, not elephantine, but they say it might not be Styracosaurus cruising past it. But we do know they traveled in herds. And if you look there on the left, if you see that, that's probably the last thing you're ever going to see. It's not a good place to be in front of a rampaging herd. And there's the other side there, three guys just kind of hanging out together. Notice the mouth there, kind of that beak like Triceratops. Cuts plants, chews things. Definitely a plant eater. Yep, looking at the feet too. Yep, the debate about the feet will continue forever. There's a movie called The Good Dinosaur. They have a Styracosaurus-looking guy coming out. It's not exactly Styracosaurus. Looks like a cross between Triceratops and Styracosaurus. It's got a bunch of strange animals hanging on the horns, but everybody looks like they're having fun. Looks like he's living in a upland, woodland sort of area. It's not exactly 70 million years ago. It's a kid's movie. Let's not read too deep into it. Having said that, once again, note the feet. This guy is going with elephantine feet. There was this terrible movie I remember watching one time when I used to work overnights at a radio station. It's called Beast of Hollow Mountain, right? And then I was trying to look it up, and it came up as the Valley of Guangxi. Not sure what that's all about. Take a look at that picture on the left over here. There's Styracosaurus fighting some kind of theropod, and there's a cowboy there. What is a cowboy doing here? And why is the cowboy attacking Styracosaurus? Should be going after the theropod, man, if you think. Maybe just avoid the whole thing altogether, right? And then over there on the right side, the pride of 1969 stop-motion photography. Before we laugh at it, just remember, that's 1969. They're doing the best they can. They couldn't do it in 1959. Remember, you got to crawl before you walk. You got to walk before you run. So they're doing the best they can, and apparently people like this movie. What is this movie all about? I'm really not sure. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of looked it up on Wikipedia. Something about a hidden valley in Mexico with prehistoric animals running around. So they grabbed the theropod, supposed to be an Allosaurus, I guess, 3 claws. Look at the shape of the head. They take it to a circus and go crazy, attack everybody. Jurassic Park precursor there. And they take it to a church. The whole church collapses in on it. It's usually how monster movies end. Allosaurus never fought with Styracosaurus. That never happened because they lived in completely different times. Styracosaurus, 83 million years to 70 million years ago in the Cretaceous. Allosaurus in the Jurassic. Yeah, that just didn't happen. I don't know. But what did you expect from a stop-action movie from 1969? However, Styracosaurus did have battles with theropods. Yep, before there was Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus, there was Styracosaurus and Albertosaurus. Look at that name, Albertosaurus, right there, Alberta, Canada. These guys fought it out, same way. Happens every era. It's always some kind of huge plant eater fighting some kind of huge meat eater. And what we can tell from the fossils, that Albertosaurus usually won these things. And yes, we can tell by plants and everything in the area, fossilized plants, and the lowlands. So even Albertosaurus had to go down there to go find Styracosaurus. And you know what kind of feet they have. Not going to get off the thing with the feet. So anyway, these two guys fighting each other, just like just like the Austrians and Turks in the 15th and 16th century, 17th century, excuse me, and Albertosaurus and Stegosaurus. There's always a big clash between the two big guys of the block, and it's kind of like, shall I call it a Super Bowl, maybe? Yep, we got the Super Bowl coming up. San Francisco 49ers versus the Kansas City Chiefs, sitting there in Las Vegas. Think about some other Super Bowls. Hey, Super Bowl 9, a little bit before my time, but I know the Steelers won it. That's the important thing. They beat the Vikings 16-6 down in New Orleans, Tulane Stadium. Like I said, this game for my time, but I watched it on YouTube, and I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a boring game. I did notice two things, though. One, they did some serious hitting in the 70s, man. It's like a half step away from medieval combat. This could easily be Albertosaurus versus Stytacosaurus right here. I also noticed less commercials. Wonder what that's all about. A year later, we got Super Bowl 10. Steelers and Cowboys down in Miami at the Orange Bowl. Yes, on AstroTurf in Miami. What's that all about? Steelers win 21-17. Watch that one on YouTube as well. That was a pretty good one. Again, I noticed less commercials. What that's all about. The important thing, however, is that the Cowboys lost. Super Bowl 13, look at that. Steelers and Cowboys, again in Miami, grass field this time. Steelers win yet again, 35-31. One of the greatest games of all time. Again, the important thing is the Cowboys lost. Super Bowl 14 at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Pittsburgh 31, LA Rams 19. This was a good one. I mean, this was a fight to the death. The Rams kind of staggered in with a 9-7 record. The 79 Steelers, one of the greatest of all time. 6 different lead changes. The Rams took the Steelers to distance. Pittsburgh wins at the end with this iconic photo of John Stallworth catching the winning touchdown, 73 yards, on a play that never worked in practice. But when they needed it, it worked. Super Bowl 14, the Steelers take their 4th Super Bowl. Super Bowl 40, what's the first thing you notice? Bit of a gap there between 14 and 40, don't you think? Just a small gap. You could drive a truck through it. You can ride a Stytacosaurus through it. This was in Detroit back in February of 2006. This was a really good one. Yeah, we were around for this one. This was not the most exciting game ever. The Steelers, I don't think, played up to their potential, but fortunately, neither did Seattle. And Pittsburgh got the win 21-10. And believe me, they earned this one. They came in as a wild card. They won 3 playoff games, all on the road against the top 3 teams in their conference: Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Denver. They come to Detroit here at Ford Field against Seattle, the number 1 team from the other conference, number 1 offense, number 1 everything. Pittsburgh wins it 21-10. One for the thumb. It took 26 years, but they finally got there. Hey, Super Bowl 43 down in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium. Everybody remembers this one? Again, Arizona with a great offense, Pittsburgh with a great defense. Steelers favored by a lot, but man, this was a battle. The Arizona Cardinals had nothing to be ashamed of, and given that team's history, hey, this might as well have been a victory. But the Steelers win it 27-23. There's Antonio Holmes catching the winning touchdown in the very corner of the end zone. That's the play everybody remembers. I remember more like James Harrison running back 100 yards after picking off a Kurt Warner pass for the touchdown. That's the thing I remember the most about this game. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The Steelers, a team famous for its defense and running the ball right down people's throat. All the iconic Super Bowl photographs are wide receivers. Am I the only one who notices that? Well, what else? What else you notice? Oh, have you noticed my discussion of past Super Bowls are all Steeler victories? No mention of Super Bowl 30 or Super Bowl 45? Yeah, how about that? You're not going to get them. It's all about Steeler victories here. You guys have yourself a fantastic weekend. Go ahead, win some trivia contest about Turkish invasions of Vienna in 1529, 1683. Talk about Stytacosaurus. Impress your friends, impress the neighbors, impress the arresting officer. And don't forget, 6 Super Bowl victories for no other reason other than they are 6 Pittsburgh Steelers Super Bowl victories. Have a great day. Have a nice day. Keep it safe. Have fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Das vidanya.